Evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to Blather 228. Big Boy Faceplants. Now, of course, Thomas and I discussed this yesterday, before today's events, naturally, and I'll just tell you what I prepared based on that. But I guess that we're going to expand the universe of our conversation today. We told you it was going to be a fun campaign. We barely started. As President Potato clings on to power, or Jill won't give him a cookie, somebody came out with a bright idea of proving the debacle, or debate, was just a bad day. And why not have a press conference? Really, for the first time. What the heck? Let's do it at the NATO meeting. And just to prove that the average mental age of the cretins managing the potato world is less than 5 years. Let's call it a big boy press conference. Shit you not. One is left to wonder how our NATO allies felt when Biden introduced President Putin of Ukraine. Later in Detroit, he spoke of his own Vice President Trump, who, he added, was more than capable to be president. In the end, despite desperate efforts from the lügenpresse to cover his bony ass, the president was worse than the debate. He reassured no one, and as members of his own party were fleeing across the fruited plain, the potato stood firmly proclaiming, "I'm not going anywhere." Write down the date. Biden stated a true fact for a change. He is indeed going nowhere. He went on to add, for comedic relief, surely, that, "Don't worry, I'm okay. Trump got a pass." Representatives Jim Hines, Scott Redders, and Eric Sorensen, all Democrats, left the ship, as did every Democrat in Michigan, with a tough race facing them. The rats never take too long in running for safety. Of course, now I have to add that in that very Michigan fracas, Biden encouraged his minions and donors that it is time to stop this about whether I continue on the race or not, and let's put a target on Trump. We have to make t-shirts, mugs, campaign ads of Biden saying, "Let's put a target on Trump." And 2 days later, somebody attempts to shoot President Trump. For much less, they persecuted Sarah Palin out of politics. Yes.
They did shoot Trump. Yes, they did shoot Trump.
Yes, they did.
They didn't attempt. They did shoot Trump.
You're absolutely correct. You're absolutely correct. I meant they attempted to kill Trump, in that they failed. But yes, they shot him. A bullet grazed his ear. There was talk that maybe one actually hit the vest somewhere around here, which is...
That's what I thought too.
I have not been able to confirm it, and I don't know for sure, but I don't think it matters, does it? They shot at President Trump. They missed killing him by an inch. That grace here, had Trump not moved his head, he'd be dead now.
Well, if he
He
turned
would have
his
gone
head,
right here.
if he
Turned
turned
his
his,
head in the opposite direction. If he had turned it in that direction, of course he didn't know it was coming.
no,
But by this much, he's still alive.
yeah,
So anyway, to finish the presentation, ladies and gentlemen, anybody with a brand new pronoun can go fuck themselves, because today I feel like taking no fucking prisoners when it comes to these idiots. And we're doing this in YouTube, where I already said enough to be suspended again, but fuck YouTube. And not for long. In 3 timelines in Twitter, mine, Quadverum's, and Thomas's, and in our own home in Quadverum TV in Odyssey. Please feel free to throw money our way every now and then. It doesn't hurt. I promise I will not be doing the NPR shit tonight. Just 1 or 2 sites. That said, this is Solvo Test Bradley, the largest human repository of useless information and a suppository of grief for leftards. And right there, right next to, from Florida, from the free state of Florida, and right next to me, Thomas Victor, the only living expert in World War I flamethrowers, and raconteur extraordinaire from Mexifornia, the land of fruit, flakes, nuts, and gruesome. Jeez, you have no idea how much I admire your resilience. That said, hello, Thomas.
hi
How are
there.
you doing in such a pivotal day? I think Trump just won the election, by the way.
Oh yeah, there's no doubt. I've watched 2 videos. There's a lot of nonsense out there, and of course, I can't tell you exactly what happened. So, what I'm going to say is that there's one video shot directly from the front, and then there's another video shot from the side that shows the Secret Service counter sniper directly above Trump. Not above Trump, directly to the side.
It's to the side. It's to his right and a little higher.
And it's very hard to see where the counter sniper is looking, but it appears he's looking in the wrong direction. Now, what I did when watching the video that was taken directly from the front, the first 3 shots are without question from the would-be assassin. And what you hear is and then you hear the percussion from the shot going off. So that's the sonic boom of
the bullet.
So going by that, I counted exactly 9 such shots. There are people saying that the sniper fired 3 shots and then he was killed by the Secret Service. But from what I can tell, the sniper fired 3, then he fired a burst of 5, and then a long time later, somebody fired another 1. And what I don't know, okay, I do know actually, if the counter sniper fired due to the location in relative to the microphone, we'd hear the boom first, and
then the bullet.
If we even heard the bullet at all.
Yes.
So my guess is that the sniper fired 9 times at Trump, and only Trump's, the sniper's bad aim, which that saved Trump. Trump is very animated on the stage, and anybody
may have saved his life today.
Anybody who's seen the movie Day of the Jackal knows that if you're firing over a relatively long distance, and apparently this thing was about 300 yards away,
Yep.
the roof.
I don't think it was that far. I've been looking at plans, but at the very least, 100 to 150 yards.
Okay. We don't know what kind of rifle the guy had. It was obviously a semi-automatic rifle, so it may have been an AR-15 type rifle.
They're talking AR-15.
Yeah, so I don't hear any sounds. There's a 28 seconds until the Secret Service, you hear a voice on the stage say, "Shooters down." So the sniper had plenty of time to fire. And, okay, everybody's criticizing the Secret Service. I criticize the Secret Service leadership.
Yes.
We can get into that. But
we will.
The reason the Secret Service didn't see this guy after he started firing was that he was behind a sloped roof. He wasn't on a flat roof. He was behind a sloped roof. So the counter snipers who were in Trump's vicinity couldn't see him while he continued firing. And the Secret Service say they killed him. They don't say how, but I sent you an image that shows him with a head wound.
Yes. Well, actually, I didn't see your message, but I did see the image.
Yeah. So
I'm gonna see if I can find it.
Yeah, I sent you. I think it says Trump would-be assassin or shooter or something. But this is the Secret Service standing over him.
Did you email or use any other system?
To your usual email. And
okay.
And as for why this roof wasn't cleared or covered, the answer is very simple. Trump has been asking the director of the Secret Service for extra protection because he's woefully underprotected, and she's refused multiple requests. I've heard this now from totally reliable sources.
I have to.
Yeah,
I have to. I was on the phone with guys that are or were at the Secret Service, and they all told me that for weeks, the detail had been asking DHS. I mean, both that idiot Kim cheater. I know it's not cheater, but that's what it sounds to me. And Mayorkas, and all requests have been routinely denied.
Right. Okay. I made a mistake when I said Trump has asked. It isn't Trump asking for more agents. It's Trump's Secret Service detail asking for more agents. So I know there's a lot of people claiming, oh, this is an inside job and all that. It was clearly negligence, almost certainly deliberate negligence on the part of the director of the Secret Service and the director of the Department of Homeland Security to prevent Trump from having an adequate number of agents. In 2016, Trump had a similar incident where a guy jumped over a rail and almost got up on stage with him. And after that, Trump started using more of his own security, but only in certain situations. And I don't know how Trump's security would be able to function in Pennsylvania with the Secret Service and the locals, that you have the local cops, the state cops, the FBI, they were all there at the time. And I don't know if any of them would look too kindly on Trump's private people coming in and saying, you're doing a crap job or just whatever. It's not as easy as saying, oh, he should use his own security. Getting the Secret Service to work with your own private security is a problem in a lot of ways, because there's always professional pride at stake and all of that. The blame for this, of course, is to be laid directly with the dead sniper, the dead fuck up.
Naturally.
The Secret Service.
Apparently an Antifa fuckface.
Yeah, I mean, I figured as much. The director of the Secret Service, the director of Homeland Security, and last of all, the Democrats themselves for creating the fiction that Trump is Hitler and that if he's elected, it's the end of democracy. So they own this. And this is why you and I are both saying that Trump is just as good as elected, because the Democrats, if they come out with the same Trump is Hitler stuff after this, every time they open their yaps, they're going to create more Trump voters. And unfortunately for them, they can't compete with that image behind you, which I've heard.
That image has to be made into a campaign poster, T-shirts, mugs, and campaign ads. This is the Trump's Iwo Jima moment.
It looks like the picture of the flag raising at Iwo Jima. And I've seen a lot of very, just going by physical appearance, people who I wouldn't expect to vote for Trump, saying they're going to vote for Trump and that he's the most badass human being they've ever seen. He dodges a bullet and he still has...
He's the new Teddy Roosevelt, man.
Exactly. Yeah, okay, for people who don't know, Teddy Roosevelt was shot in an assassination attempt. And he continued campaigning.
He finished his speech.
He finished his speech
with a bullet inside him.
With a bullet in him, and here's Trump. He has the wherewithal to make sure that everybody knows he's okay. And it's the Democrats own this fiasco, and I don't see them coming back because. I mean, they're demanding that people not blame them, but how could you not blame them?
Oh, they can go fuck themselves sideways.
Yeah.
I really had it with these fucking morons.
Yeah.
If somebody so much as sneezes in the Republican side, it's the Republican rhetoric that is causing these. Remember when a crazy son of a bitch shot Kathy Gifford?
Shot what?
Shot Kathy Gifford, Gabrielle Gifford. It turned out to be, a retarded, quite a bit of a lunatic leftard. How about the pink-haired moron who shot a bunch of people at a movie theater in Denver? Same thing. How about the guy who shot up the Congress baseball game and practically almost sent Scalise to push daisies? All of them. That was a Bernie brother. All of these assholes, they keep talking about right-wing terrorism, but all of the events that could be construed to be terrorist in nature are done by psychotic little leftwards.
Well, the U.S. military was giving a seminar on terrorism, and they had a page devoted to all the conservative right-to-life groups. So simply holding a position according to the U.S. military is terrorism. And they said, we don't know how that got in there. We're not responsible. Somebody else did it. But they're
using it.
Yeah. No, and
the thing is that now, all of the diatribe. Have you heard fortunately, Gaskill talking about the terrorism of the Republicans and the rhetoric and she was saying that Trump is worse than Hitler.
Yeah.
That is part of the script of the Democrats. And finally, they convinced the lunatic that Trump is worse than Hitler.
Yeah.
What is the only course the lunatic may then take?
Yep. No, and This is okay. All of the U.S. government bodies have eroded away under the Democrats, under Biden. So it's no surprise that the Secret Service of today isn't the Secret Service of, however many years ago, 30 years ago,
But
40 years ago.
but before people think we're overdoing it, I have to take my hat off to the Secret Service agents who surrounded Trump.
Yeah, totally
There,
fearless.
there
Totally.
was a woman there
Yeah,
that covered him instantly. If there had been another bullet, it would have been straight into her back.
yeah.
Eh,
No,
When they got him up to take him out of the stage, there was a gap, and she ran to the gap and filled it to shield Trump from whoever else might be there. Those
yeah,
people not only are fearless, but they're dedicated. They are loyal to a fault, and
yeah.
those people deserve my respect any day and twice on Sundays.
Well,
The
exactly.
the problem is that fucking asshole Mayorkas, surprise, surprise, who refused uh, to fill their requests, the Secret Service agents' requests, to increase their resources so they could better protect. Maybe had they had more agents, there would have been an agent on that rooftop.
Well, that's the thing. There was clearly a paucity of agents. There's some report out there that the Secret Service responded within 20 seconds. I don't know. The agent on stage said shooters down at 28 seconds after the
Yeah,
shoot. The shooting.
number one, they responded immediately.
Oh, instantly. And
They
so,
responded immediately, shielded Trump, put it down, and pile on top of them like a fucking rugby scrum.
well, so did Trump. This is a 76
Yes,
man whose reaction time was less than a second. And I watched the video, and I was watching the people in the crowd behind him. They're all going, "What's happening? What's happening?" Trump knew instantly what was happening.
oh yeah.
He was on True Social that he knew instantly that he was.
The moment he went like this,
Yep.
you can see it in his face.
Yeah. So this I know the leftists are all claiming that Trump is just as impaired as Biden. No. Let's see you react. In the Reagan assassination attempt, when the Secret Service is dogpiling on Hinckley, and there's one cop who's been shot in the back of the neck, there's Jim Brady who's
Jim
lying on
Brady
his
was,
face,
yep.
and another agent who's lying on his stomach because he took a bullet for Reagan. There's people standing there with their arms just hanging down going, and these aren't elderly people. These are people who just, they're paralyzed. So
Yeah.
here we have a 76-year-old man who instantly recognized he's being fired at, and he drops, which is exactly what was needed for the Secret Service to
For the
dog.
Secret Service to pile on him. By the way, one of the guys I spoke with today was one of the Secret Service agents there
Mhm.
when Hinckley shot Reagan. And we were discussing this. I can see no fault in the reaction of the Secret Service
No,
tonight. Zero.
no.
If I wanted to nitpick, I would say, why the fuck wasn't there somebody on every rooftop or at a point commanding all the rooftops within the firing line? And the answer is because DHS refused to provide the necessary personnel to do it.
And okay, there's a guy who looks exactly like Prince Harry, who says that he and his friends saw the shooter and were yelling to the police and the Secret Service. Well, okay, they're looking for and he said himself they couldn't see him because of the angle of the roof.
Yeah.
But I don't know how close they were, but any cop will tell you that when people come up to try and tell you something, it's impossible to figure out what they're saying. And okay, people are expecting the Secret Service, the real Secret Service, to react the way John Wick reacts, or just whatever. And it doesn't happen that way in real life, because in order for them to get to that roof, they would have to abandon their assigned posts. And presumably, with the lack of resources, the lack of manpower, they were assigned what were considered the most important posts. And, you know,
what you see at the bottom is the little, like the short wall at the edge of the roof behind which he was shooting. And you can see that even now that you know where he is, that you're taking a picture from an elevated position, half of him is hidden.
Correct.
So there would have been a very tiny target, and that tiny target was his noggin, and that's why he got a bullet in his noggin.
Yeah, and the witness said he was killed by a headshot, and then he said the Secret Service had to climb up there. So I'm unclear. It sounds like the guy climbed up the outside in order to get to the roof. So photos are very deceiving. Acoustics are deceiving.
Yes.
The two videos I've seen that show the shots, they sound totally different. One of them sounds like your classic rifle shot, like a Sergio Leone spaghetti western rifle shot. And then the one that was taken from the front of the stage, you get that breaking of the sound barrier by the bullets. And
I told Cristobal Cobo in Spain, he called me almost immediately, and he asked me, I said, by the sound of it, I heard a couple of shots that could be handguns, but I also heard a few shots that could be an AR-15.
Yeah, it's impossible to really.
I wouldn't be surprised if that one turns out to be it. And one of the reasons is, people think the AR-15 is this dangerous, terrible weapon. It isn't.
It's a 22 caliber bullet.
Yeah. So maybe that's another reason he's alive.
Yeah. The AR-15 is actually much more of a close-up weapon than a long-distance weapon, which is why snipers use heavier caliber bullets. And we're going to find out that this guy wasn't professionally trained. He was not part of a larger conspiracy.
I'm willing to bet.
Yeah. And
I'm willing to bet on it.
Just from the pictures of his body, he just looks like some young idiot who spends all his time on social media. And
when he's not jacking off in Seattle or something like that.
Did you know that there was a British kid who came out here in 2015 in order to kill Trump? And he went to a Trump rally and he tried to pull the pistol away from
one of the Secret Service or police.
And when they were talking to this guy after he was detained, he said he was going to save the world. And there are people like that out there.
Well, that's what McCaskill is telling her minions. We need to save America from this monster who's worse than Hitler.
And what everybody needs to understand, if you say something long enough, you start believing it yourself. So at this point, all the Democrats actually believe that Trump is worse than Hitler. And if you actually like tied him to a chair and had a car battery with a couple of clamps and said, you need to give me 10 examples of how Trump is worse than Hitler, or I'm going to hook this up to your nipples.
No, not the nipples. Just remember, red is hot, black is ground, and make sure the balls are wet.
Well, I would just tell them, and even under those dire circumstances, they wouldn't be able to give you 10 reasons why Trump is worse than Hitler. They wouldn't be able to give you 5. They wouldn't even be able to give you one.
Not one. Not
But they-
one. But that's, go tell it to former Senator McCaskill. Tell it to Nancy Pigliosi.
Well, okay, Gretchen Whitmer at one point was on some show, and in the background she had a little bumper sticker that said 8645. 86 means to destroy or to bury.
Yeah.
And this has become normalized.
Yes.
When Jack Dorsey was head of Twitter, Trump assassination threats were routinely allowed to stand.
Yes. Hey, remember that stupid and fuckable cunt, red-haired pseudo-comedian with Trump's head?
Yeah.
What about the freaking idiots at the Shakespeare Theater in Central Park staging his assassination?
Snoop Dogg having a video where he shoots him in the head. I mean,
So come on, it's like, and now we're all going to be surprised and tear our clothes and, oh, we should all be united and sit together and say goodbye. Go fuck yourselves.
I want to be united with Democrats. I want to get them out of power.
Oh, I'm going to be united with anybody who wants to pee on their graves.
Yeah, I mean, this is everything that's going to happen to the Democrats is something they worked really hard to get, and as of this moment, they're still working hard to get because they're trying to blame all of this on conservatives, and it's like, nice try.
It's not going to work.
No,
This time it's not going to work. This time there's a lot more people who are smelling the turd.
well, I saw some idiot on Sky News Australia saying that after Reagan was shot, he was so diminished that he was basically non-functional, and he was saying that basically the same thing's going to happen to Trump. And it's like, okay, wait a minute, Reagan almost died. Okay, Reagan almost died.
On his first year. As
Yes.
president. He went on for another 7.5 years as president.
Yeah, you're telling me he never recovered?
And yeah, he was diagnosed with Alzheimer's 2 years after he left the presidency.
No, it's
By the way, do you remember what Reagan said to Nancy
after he was shot.
after he was shot when he was in the hospital?
Yeah, honey, I forgot to duck.
Honey, I forgot to duck.
Yeah,
I mean, come on. His balls were about this big.
yeah. No, it's these are all what Norman Bates. No, what the hell was his name?
Mailer?
Pardon me.
Norman Mailer?
Yes, Norman Mailer called them factoids. He said that these are facts that these are non-true facts, but people think they're true because they appeared in the media. So you have all this stuff that's just accepted as reality when it isn't. Reagan was permanently diminished after being shot.
No, he wasn't.
There was
By the way, if he was diminished, he must have been way too great because in his diminished capacity, he was still far more alert, awake, and intelligent than anybody around him.
Well, that's the thing. I mean, these are people who just lie reflexively. They just make stuff up. And after Trump was shot, it took forever for the mainstream media to admit that he was shot. CNN said that he fell down on stage.
Yeah.
Well, just like Biden, he just fell.
We had the video. We had the news cameras trained on him as he left the building. The whole thing was filmed.
Yeah, but
It was filmed when he was shot, when he was ushered into the limo, when the Secret Service got Hinckley. All of it. Brady essentially dying on the sidewalk. They saved him, but I think his brain was lost. Not literally, but he wasn't the same anymore. If you know what
Yeah.
I mean. The press in Spain are reporting the alleged attempt at Trump.
Of course, because these are people who their every thought and their every action is devoted to trying to spin something to the most advantageous for their stupid ideology.
Right. But you know, alleged attempted assassination. If it wasn't an attempted assassination, what the fuck was it? A picnic?
Well, we have to have a trial, and we have to put the dead sniper up in the stand with his head all flopping over,
Yeah, but that's to determine his culpability, not to determine the nature of the event.
well, I mean,
Somebody shot at Trump and hit him.
yeah, no, he was shot. He was shot.
Oh
What?
no, they just wanted to straighten her hair.
Yeah, no, I mean, loud noises. Trump led off the stage after loud noises
Yeah,
that
no, no.
caused his ear to lose a piece and bleed and whatever. I mean, the Democrats are like Putin's Russia. It's like Russia is it under Putin. It never existed as a world power. It was not a world power ever.
No.
And now it's remarkable what the Russians are doing that in any other dimension would be seen as outrageously bizarre, but it's just sort of reported, and you still have people saying any day now the Russian steamroller is going to kick into gear, and yeah. Okay, today the Israelis killed Mohammed Deif.
Yes, wasn't that great? And 70 other assholes.
He was the commander of the military wing of Hamas.
Yeah, he was the number 2 after Sinwar.
Yep, and he was a legendary figure. And if the Israelis were able to find him and kill him, then it's game over for Hamas.
What if I told you that the Israeli government intentionally withheld information from the U.S.?
I'd say go for it. That's
No, they did.
Yeah.
And when you ask the guy, seriously, and they said they feared that the Biden administration would leak the information to Hamas.
Of course
they had located the asshole, so they withheld information and conducted the attack, and then notified the U.S. Oh, by the way, we just pulverized this asshole and 70 of his minions. It was in a park area, and they feared that if the U.S. knew, he was going back into hiding.
Well, did you see the aftermath? It looks like they used a Hiroshima-style bomb on the area.
I don't think they're going to find the corpse. They're going to have to get DNA from the sand.
Yeah, they're going to find little globules of Deif. Yeah. But again, Hamas was told, we were told that they were the most formidable anti-Israel fighters in the region, and they aren't.
And they were. No, they were. Imagine the rest of them.
Yeah, exactly. No, Hezbollah will be the same when Israel launches its actual war against Hezbollah. They'll massacre them. They'll wipe them out, and
and the Lebanese army is going to be right next to the IDF, kissing their asses and thanking their gods for the IDF, because nobody wants Hezbollah in Lebanon but Hezbollah.
No, and the Gulf Arabs will have their troops there, their special operators. I mean, it's going to be so bizarre. I mean, this is really like, just for me, in my 61 years, this is the worst era I've ever lived in. Just for the sheer stupidity and irrationality, it's just.
Let's be honest. Venezuela wasn't much better.
wasn't much better, but when I was there, it wasn't as Venezuela had borders. As corrupt as the National Guard was, they did go after terrorists, real terrorists from Cuba.
Yeah, no, that's true. That's true. You're talking about the Carlos Andres Perez and all that jazz. You're absolutely right.
But I mean, this is just such a bizarre period because the opposition is saying shit that you're shocked that anybody believes it, but you're shocked that they're still going for it. They have nothing else to offer. Oh, and just apparently the Wall Street Journal was able to really take a look at the laws. The only way that Biden can give a successor his war chest is if he's first nominated by the Democrats as the official presidential nominee, and then he can drop out.
He cannot even then. Even then, the only person who can use that war chest is his own vice president.
Right.
It has to be somebody in the ticket.
Right. So if Biden is nominated, regardless of what he says, yes, I promise I'll drop out, let Kamala take over. He won't drop out. Once he has the nomination, he's going to stay. And he's going to have his ass handed to him, especially after today.
Let me put it clearly for the audience. He will not leave voluntarily.
No.
Period. End of story. He is adamant about it. He's bellicose about it. They've even shut out, or rather, yes, they shut out of the West Wing Obama and all of the Obama loyal people that were there. They're being kicked out of the White House. Obama is furious about all of this. But, you know, how dare he not recognize the king? And Jill is in control, and Hunter is by his side 24/7. And the family circled the wagons, and they consider anybody who even suggests leaving the candidacy a traitor. It's not going to happen.
I can see it, and the press is trying all sorts of tricks, claiming that Biden can't withstand the pressure, that blah, 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 blah. Biden can withstand anything because he's the one who has to say, I'm going to drop out, and there's nobody who has any leverage over him.
No.
If he finally decide to bring out the photos or whatever, then he'll just bring out his own photos.
Yes.
Because he's got dirt on all of them.
Oh, come on. They all get, the Democrats all have dirt on each other.
Yeah.
And to the point that nobody can force anybody anymore.
Yeah.
Biden is not living voluntarily. Now, if he sleeps on a banana peel on his way to Marine One, if he bites his own tongue and poisons himself, all things are possible. But they're either improbable or unlikely. He's not living. And all of the candidate wannabes can go jack off in a corner together with the illegals they let into the Roosevelt Hotel in New York and forget about it.
Yeah. No, I mean, what could be unburdened by what has been. That's their big hope. I mean, come on, this is all like.
Oh, she's also furious.
I'm sure.
I'm told that the woman is like a lioness in heat, except she's not as pretty and not as intelligent as the lioness in heat. And she's furious that they're considering anybody but her as a successor because, of course, you know, she earned it.
Well, there's
my question would be, how many did she suck to earn it?
Well, there's no mechanism for going to anyone except for her, except if they vote for somebody if the only way that Biden can be forced to leave against his will is at a convention where they all vote for somebody other than Biden, and that's not going to happen.
It's not going to happen. Remember that the delegates are committed to the candidate for whom they were elected. That's not a lifelong commitment. That is a first vote commitment. When you go to the convention, you vote for the candidate that sent you there. And if that candidate is not elected in the first round, then on the second round, you're free to horse trade all you fucking want until you guys get to a majority. Biden has 90% of the delegates.
Yeah, and they screwed
That
themselves.
ship sailed.
They screwed themselves by not having a primary.
Yeah, well, they screwed themselves by having a rigged primary.
Yeah.
Where they pushed everybody else aside, where they ensured that, remember that there was a state where Biden was left as the only candidate and he came in second.
Yeah.
Which I thought was hilarious. I don't know why it hasn't become one of our daily jokes. But the thing is, they made every effort possible to ensure that Biden was the candidate.
Yeah.
And they succeeded.
They succeeded, and then he went out there and did a faceplant multiple times.
Yeah.
When the hell did they call it the Big Boy Press Conference? What the hell was that?
Who came up with that idea?
An idiot.
Who the fuck came up with that idea? By the way, I couldn't resist Big Boy.
Yeah. For people who don't know, Bob's Big Boy I don't even know if it still exists, but
I don't know, but it had the best burgers in California at one time.
Yeah, they did their own version of the Big Mac, and they served it to you on a big platter with French fries and coleslaw and all sorts of stuff.
And of course, you have the image that is kind of like bending backwards away from Big Boy. Is of course Meloni, and that is a picture of hers bending backwards to avoid the physical approach of Biden.
Yeah, it's an amazing little video. He's leaning forward, like aiming his mouth at her, and she's going, yeah.
And then she goes to talk to the other NATO guys, and she's gonna.
Yeah.
Holy shit. But, we now have a president respected around the world.
Womp, 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 womp. No, I mean...
Interesting.
No, and okay, I've seen enough videos now to know that the average voter is an imbecile, and they'll believe whatever they're told to believe, and when they're asked to defend it, they can't, and then they're like, stop asking me, I'm embarrassed. It's like, well, you should be embarrassed. You should be ashamed. You should be ashamed to be...
I want to put a bag on my head.
Yeah. I don't know, but today basically guaranteed that Trump will be the next president because, number one, the shooter was responsible. Number two, the head of the Secret Service and the head of Department of Homeland Security. Number three, the Democrats as a party. Those are the people who are to blame for what happened today. And okay, Reddit has all these political subreddits that are dominated by leftists, and they're saying this is what happens when you encourage violence; it comes back to bite you. And they were absolutely blowtorched by their own people. So,
Yes, they should be, for crying out fucking loud.
It's on Trump or Republicans isn't going to fly. I don't know.
As they should be. I mean, for years, they've been gaslighting people about terrorism from the far right. You and I have discussed this. Are there neo-Nazis and white nationalists in the U.S.? Of course. Far less than charismatic Catholics. A couple of hundred there, 50 here, 4 over there. The idiots who put together the Patriot Front out of the remains of Vanguard, out of the remains of the alt-right of Richard Spencer, eh, are like 250 nationwide. They have to fly each other to meetings so that they can put field 100 or 200 people, and they're coming in the last time from 10, 12 states. They don't have 100 on any one state. They're jackoffs being fleeced by the Ponzi schemer at the head of that grift.
Jeff Bezos. Jeff Bezos.
Yeah, the fucking idiot.
Our former president showed tremendous grace and courage under literal fire tonight. So thankful for his safety and so sad for the victims and their families. So, a lot of people can sense which way the political winds are blowing, and they're.
Ackerman just endorsed Trump.
Who did?
Ackerman is one of the Silicon Valley guys who made a fucking fortune. And he was always a Democrat supporter. He's also Jewish. And finally, this was the straw that broke the camel's back. And he says, I've been thinking about it for some time. I've been very bothered by anti-Semitism, by my own correligionaries turning against Jews. But this is too much. So now I endorse Trump. I'm going to vote for him, and I'm going to make a sizable donation to his campaign.
Yeah.
By the way, the little shit, but see, you can see here a better. Let me see, where the hell is it? Hold on. I think I got the right pictures from the wrong website. Hold on, this is it. This, by the way, was sent to us by Scott GFX in the chat, and I decided to put it here because Thomas Matthew Crooks. The name of the fucking asshole is Crooks. I see it as a gunman who shot Trump. You cannot write comedy like this.
Thomas
Crooks.
Matthew
Crooks.
Crooks.
Sources say Crooks was planted on a roof at a manufacturing plant more than 130 yards. I told you that's what it looked like in the maps.
Okay.
130 yards, maybe 300 feet.
Okay. Or whoever gave me the distance confused feet.
Confused feet with yards. And you can see here what I was saying. It was a flat roof, but of course the edge is raised. And you can see that you can only see half the body there.
Yep.
Now, let me see. He was killed by Secret Service snipers. An AR-style rifle was later recovered. Notice that they say AR-style.
Yep.
So it may or may not have been an AR-15.
So far, no photos of this guy in life. No photos of this guy alive. The gunman. I've only been able to find the one photo of him dead.
It's a fucking nobody. I'll bet you he is an Antifa. I'll bet you he's one of these little fucks that would be either here or chanting "Free, Free Palestine" to disrupt some university event.
He's wearing a gray shirt that has an American flag on the arm, but we don't know if that's a standard American flag or if it's been fucked around with to make it an anti-American flag or something.
Let me see. By the way, I love it. I fucking love it because the New York Post says, why Crooks fired on the presumptive Republican presidential nominee is unclear.
No idea.
What is it that you say? Whoop, whoop, whoop,
exactly. Yeah, why would somebody shoot at a politician? I have no idea.
No.
History.
Like I said. Yeah. Let me see. He is from Bethel Park.
Yep.
Bethel Park is, if I recall, some 30, 40 miles from Butler. So he's a local guy.
Okay, if his
He's
rifle. Go ahead.
Yeah, he squeezed off shots, one of which grazed Trump in the ear. Nothing that we hadn't realized. This is southwestern PA near Pittsburgh and Newcastle. I know the area well. By the way, the area is rabidly Democrat.
What a surprise.
Rabidly Democrat. This is not far from where that attack on a synagogue occurred a few years back. This is, some consider this the birthplace of youths in America because the gas blowers, it was settled by Swiss and Germans.
Mm.
They started with the glassworks, and that's where the first unions in America came up. And actually, it was the glass workers of America that sent emissaries to Germany to organize German workers into unions as well. So it is a very, very, very strong bastion of unionism, a strong bastion of Democrats, and we'll see later. That doesn't mean anything, but I think it could.
Well, he looks like a skin and bones little twerp.
Yeah,
So,
probably what he is. Probably what he is. The guys in the chat are showing themselves pictures of big boy burgers. I think we just awakened. I remember Big Boys was one of my favorite stops when I was there because it was like a 1950s deli type of ambiance.
yeah, it didn't really have a drive-through. You went in
Yeah,
and sat down when you ate.
yeah, and
Yep.
and you had a fairly decent menu. Uh, Certainly better than the McDonald's or even Jack in the Box. Um, there
But
are
see,
pictures of him coming out now,
alive.
apparently.
Do we have
But,
any?
the, but I haven't received any yet because I'm doing this with you. Hey, what the hell? We'll see it. I don't particularly give a shit. But unless it contradicts my impressions, then I do give a shit and I want to learn more.
I got a lot.
Uh,
I got a lot of good stuff from Twitter today, but the vast majority of it was garbage.
oh, come on. When they started posting pictures of the big fat bearded moron that they claim was the shooter, and one of them was a video, I turned it on, and the guy was ranting in Italian. I said,
Yeah.
what the fuck? So I look around, and he turned out to be a guy named, by the way, named.
Mm.
It's a pseudonym, Giallo Rosso. He called himself Roma, Yellow and Red. He was a soccer fan. He was a fucking soccer fan, ranting about soccer.
Perfect.
So, and in Twitter they were already putting how he was the shooter and this is his rant. Oh goody! I'm being invited to a meeting with a Secret Service guy tomorrow at 1 p.m. So we'll see.
Okay, Dan Bongino used to be a Secret Service.
Yes.
He said it was a failure in ground surveillance, air surveillance, um, and counter sniper advance work and response. So that all tells me that it's a lack of manpower, because that's a shitload of
It's
manpower.
a shitload. I got a message here from the Brigadier General. Failures began early in the planning and reconnaissance phases. The firing position was on a rooftop 400 feet from the podium, and there were very few other rooftops in the relevant area. Why this rooftop was not early on identified as a critical point and designated as a reconnaissance objective and subsequently secured one way or the other is a mystery.
Yeah, it's a lack of manpower. That's
I believe that's the answer,
yeah,
but of course, uh, it is damning.
of course, of
It is
course.
fucking damning.
The head of the Secret Service has a lot of questions to answer. She'll be some. I've seen pictures of her. I know how she'll react. Um, you know, she'll respond like a robot and say she did the best she could and blah 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 blah. But
Oh, you mean the fat wench?
yeah, I mean this is a watershed event, and the Democrats aren't up to understanding that and you know
Oh, no, they're gonna have hell to pay. Look at this. This is a new headline just as we speak. Just as we speak. Let me put it on screen for you. That's it. This one. Look at this. Just what we were talking about.
yep
Okay?
yep.
Notice that, as we say, is request for more Secret Service protection for Trump. It doesn't say here who requested it, but I know it's the Secret Service detail
You're right.
that was requesting it. Now we're going to see
Yeah.
a lot of idiots try to uh, get water for their meals on this one. But this is not a question of,
Who the hell?
advertising one another. But yeah,
I have no
it's-
idea. Do you know of a Senator London Lamar? Is she federal? Hello?
yes,
Is
I've heard of Senator Lamar.
okay, she writes, while I'm praying for former President Trump, and hopes he make a full recovery, dot, 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 the extremism from the MAGA regime has brought us to this moment.
Of course.
And someone asking her, why did you delete this? So she posted that, and once her little aides saw which way the wind was blowing, they ran to her and they said, take it down, take it down, take it down. But the internet is forever, and
Well, one of the chief staffers for Representative Benny G something claimed that we need to make America aim again.
yeah. No, well, this Sunday, Senator London Lamar, she said it's the extremism of the MAGA movement that's brought us to this point. What she's saying is that Trump deserved to be shot because he's in.
Of course. Yeah, Benny Thompson, that is correct. It is their assholes who are now celebrating an attempted assassination of a former president and presidential candidate. They're celebrating it. They're giving themselves pats in the back and kudos. And if only this guy had better aim, we wouldn't have to deal with the orange Hitler.
Well, Well, good.
And they're talking to me about political violence.
Yeah, but see, I say good for them.
Is there anything such as a group fuck you?
Well, I say they should continue. And what's going to happen is that Mayorkas and Cheadle are going to be forced to increase Trump's security detail. They're going to have no choice.
Shit, so now Trump, they're going to have to give a detail even to the Kennedy moron.
Yeah. No, the Trump will get increased security. He'll bring on his own people too. He already has some, but he'll bring on more. And London Lamar can go on and say whatever she wants. Yeah. I want them to keep going ahead and saying, we approve of this, because then everybody on our side can say, see, look, they own this. This is their boy.
Oh, well, they're going to own it all the way to the ballot box.
Exactly.
Stephen Woodrow was being an idiot. Well, he's a fucking dumb. Of course he's an idiot.
But is he saying that that's the only thing that motivated him was idiocy?
No, I said they can't help it. I see. The only reason I'm saying it is not because that it motivates them. It's because it leads them to gloat. And that is political suicide at this moment.
Yeah.
They are driving independents and people in the center who had their doubts about Trump into Trump's arms because they can see the evil in the Democrats. So, good. Fuck themselves. I'm elated that they didn't succeed, and almost cheery that they tried it.
Well, okay. I told you about this guy I knew who was having chest pains and tingly arm and all sorts of things for 2 weeks. And finally, his friends forced him to go to the hospital, and they found out that his widowmaker artery was 90 odd % blocked. And I communicated with his wife. I mean, I knew these people for a long time, and she was losing her mind because the doctor assured them that everything was okay, but she wanted to know everything, and he wasn't telling them because he was a big superstar cardiologist who would just say, "Don't worry, everything's okay. Put him in my hands." So I explained to her that if he was going to have a cardiac event, this thing turned out the best possible way it could, because usually the first sign you have of trouble with your widowmaker is, as George Carlin said, a trip to the graveyard. And so they caught it in time. They cleaned out his artery. He's not going to live long enough to reclog it again. They put in a stent, and he's on blood thinners for the rest of his life. And as long as she makes sure he takes his frigging blood thinners and doesn't eat the way he used to, he's going to be fine. And after it was all over and he was home again, she wrote me and said, out of all the hundreds of people who contacted me, you were the only one who actually provided me with any real help. And all the others were just giving her platitudes, thoughts and prayers. We have you in our thoughts. We have you in our prayers. And
yada, yada, yada.
These aren't religious people. So I knew her. I knew that she's a real analytical, science-oriented person. And she and I together exchanged lots of emails about what had happened, what was going to happen, and the treatment. She wanted to really know about the treatment because the doctor couldn't be bothered to. They lived in Marin County, so the doctor was like, you can't question me. I'm a leftist superstar. I donate to the Obama campaign, that sort of thing. And her husband's a big leftist, but she's more just like riding along, like not really caring. And so she and I had a nice little private exchange where we just went over everything that had happened, everything that was going to happen, and especially the treatments. What did the treatment, what exactly was a stent? How did they put it in? How did they do this? How did they do that? She wanted to know everything. And at the end of it, the more she knew, the better she felt about what was going on. And, I don't even know why the hell I'm talking about this. We started off on some kind of tangent, but
God makes less inquiries and forgives.
Yeah, no, I just
for whatever reason, because you probably went into it because of the reaction of people to all of this. By the way, I just got 2 notifications because I went to see. We're still in YouTube, so people in YouTube, I noticed that we have. Wow, holy shit. 35 messages in YouTube. I might as well tell you guys. Oh, God. And I'm glad I didn't read them before because they're talking about an M16.
I'd be very, very goddamn surprised if he had an M16.
It was an M1.6. Oh, people in YouTube, sorry, we do not answer chats in YouTube. We only establish communication with people on the chat in Odyssey. Now, in YouTube, right there, under the video, you can see full video ad and a link. Click on the goddamn link and you're going to be at the website where you can chat with us. Until you do so, unfortunately, it's going to have to seem like we ignore you because, hey, we ignore YouTube. And this is the moment when we leave YouTube. So, thank you so much. And thank you even more if you come to Odyssey. And bye-bye, boomers.